Very excited about this conversation. Joining me in studio from the Phoenix Police Department is Chief Michael Sullivan. Chief, thanks for doing this.
No, great seeing you today, Mike.
This conversation about what's happening at Phoenix PD, I've got to start with the biggest question, and one of them has got to be the DOJ investigation. Is this going to change now with the new administration, or is that still kind of up in the air?
You know, I think that's a question for the Department of Justice. We're focused on continuous improvement at the Phoenix Police Department. We will, regardless what the DOJ plans to do or does in the future. We are committed to it. I think if the public listened back in September, we went in front of City Council. We talked about our plans, what we're going to be doing going forward. And here December 10th, we'll be going in front of Mayor and Council again at another policy session to let them know where we are.
How is that improvement in your mind? Is it on track? Is it on schedule? Are you doing things in the time frame that you thought they would happen? And how is it being received by the officers in the field?
I always want it faster. You know, we always want to provide the best service, but we have a plan. We're implementing that plan, and we want to do it right. So it is fully adopted. The officers in the field are challenged right now just because of our staffing, but they understand where we need to be. This is about making them safer. This is about making them more effective and making us be able to provide public safety bigger here in Phoenix, or bigger and better here in Phoenix.
Well, see, and I know that that's the balance for you. I think that everybody has their side in this conversation. One part of it is officer behavior. The other side is officer safety. But you have to think about both. You have to make sure that your officers can protect themselves, but at the same time, they're protecting the public. How do you balance that? How do you balance use of force and policies with an officer's ability to defend him or herself, and also at the same time make sure you're dealing with the public appropriately?
You know, that's about giving officers support when they're out there doing the good work that they do every single day, which is a vast majority. Let's be honest. We see a very small segment that gets put out in the public that is scrutinized, and it should be scrutinized. 99.9% of the actions and the interactions we have with the public out in the street are positive and good interactions.
But why is it that it seems like when there is an interaction that's questionable, whether it's good or bad, but there's big legitimate questions about it, why does that get built up as the norm, as if this is happening every day? Because it isn't.
You know, I think that's a question not for me to answer. You know, the question or what I have to do is make sure that we continue to get better, look at those incidents where we don't perform to the level that we should, and see where there's opportunities for us to improve.
All right. So the other side of this is the mayor has been very clear in saying that the city of Phoenix will not be involved in mass deportations. I'm looking for a little clarity in that. Does that mean under any circumstances? I know that you have been very involved and should be very proud of the human trafficking busts that you've been a part of, working with all kinds of jurisdictions, and that's not going to stop, is it?
You know, I think what the mayor said was what the city went on the path back in 2017. You know, we set a very strong policy of what we are going to do here in the city of Phoenix. We're focused on crime. We're focusing on making sure that criminals are held accountable, regardless of what their immigration status is. But immigration is a federal responsibility, and we continue 600 officers short. I don't think Phoenicians want us to pull people away from the very important work of keeping the public safe here in Phoenix.
Chief Michael Sullivan is with us from the Phoenix Police Department. I agree with you in that regard. But I guess the question, the clarification I'm asking about is you have always worked very hard with federal agencies when it comes to gang violence, because that crosses state lines and that becomes a federal issue when the DEA or ATF or any of these federal agencies are dealing with crimes. You've always been available to help with that. Is that going to continue?
Absolutely, it's going to continue. We work with our federal partners all the time to work on criminal issues, not civil immigration issues, and that will continue to be the stance of the Phoenix Police Department. Nothing is going to change. It's important for us to be and have the confidence of those communities that we're trying to keep safe. I've been out in the community this past weekend and seen the fear that's out there in some communities because of what's being said nationally. It's important for us, if we're going to provide public safety, that we have trust and we have people report crimes to us.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm spending so much time on it is because we live in a border state. I'm telling you something you already know. The fentanyl trafficking that happens to come through Arizona that comes across the border, that is part of a federal issue as well. but you're stuck dealing with it in your community here, whether it's the deaths that are happening or the trafficking in it as well. So you're kind of stuck in the middle of something that you shouldn't be stuck in the middle of.
Absolutely. But we're going to focus on crime, regardless of immigration status. If there's criminal behavior that is affecting us here in Phoenix, we have been doing that before, and we will be doing that in the future.
I want to ask one more question about the DOJ investigation. As far as the progress you've made in the city, and I know that you've talked with council and you've talked with city management, are they satisfied with the direction? Do you still stand in the position that you're satisfied with the direction the Phoenix Police Department is taking without a consent decree?
Mike, I'd never want to be complacent or satisfied of where we are. We can always do better. DOJ is done what DOJ is going to do. And I've said from day one, we're going to continue to self-assess, self-correct, and try to be the best police department we can be and control the things that we can control. And that's what we're working on. Yeah.
And I've been using your phrase quite a bit, that you're a self-assessing, self-correcting agency. But I know that the stance from the city of Phoenix has been that you can continue to do that without a consent decree, and that you can do it maybe with their help and their assistance and some recommendations, but you think you can handle it in-house better. Is that still the position of the city?
We work with city leadership, the mayor and council, and take their guidance, where we go forward from here. And we'll continue to take their guidance. But we, as the Phoenix Police Department, regardless of where this ends up, we're going to continue to get better every single day, focus on continuous improvement, and then, always strive to be that self-assessing, self-correcting agency that we really need to be for the citizens of and residents here in Phoenix.
All right, we got one more segment with Chief Sullivan. We're going to talk about staffing issues, some of the challenges in the Phoenix Police Department. All that's coming up here in just a moment. All right, a few minutes left with Chief Michael Sullivan from the Phoenix Police Department. Chief, let's talk about the year kind of in review. It was a challenging year. I mean, there was violence against officers. You lost an officer, which I know is the worst thing that happens at an agency. Can you kind of talk about what happened this year in the Phoenix Police Department?
Just talking about that violence that we've seen against officers, we lost Officer Zane Coolidge, which was heartbreaking for all of us, and continue. Not a day goes by that I don't think of him, his family, that has gone on. But we've also had 3 other officers that were shot. We had an officer that was stabbed in the neck. We have to remember the sacrifice and the danger that officers put themselves in to be able to keep this community safe.
Yeah, it's a job that when you see it firsthand, and I've been very blessed to be able to ride with your agency of many times and watch officers, and even in what people would say is a routine situation, there's nothing routine about it. The possibility of danger is always there.
Absolutely. And most of these situations, 10 incidents where officers were shot at, the vast majority of those were what I would call routine calls.
Or, what seemed to be, chasing somebody that just had broken into some cars that turns into a gunfight where an officer loses his life is just, there's no such thing as a routine moment. So that leads me to the staffing issue. I know that the Phoenix Police Department has struggled with staffing, and that you seemed like you were turning a bit of a corner where there were more people interested in the profession. Are you gaining on the numbers of officers you're down?
Yeah, actually, we're pretty flat this year, Mike, a little bit down from where we were last year. Encouraging news is that, the last class that it's in right now, it has over 30 recruits in it. And the next class looks like it's trending in that same direction.
I know that the challenge has been as the agency gets a little older, as officers approach retirement age, that's the problem, is you're losing all those years of experience, even when you're gaining new officers. But staying ahead of that curve, do you see the day where you think you'll be ahead of attrition?
If people want to come join us, join phxpd.com, come and join us. We need you. If we're going to continue to be able to grow where we need to be, that will depend. We see some encouraging signs, but we'll see what the next few classes bring us.
What's amazing about the job is the scrutiny that's out there, justified as it is, but the scrutiny that's out there now in policing, the danger of the job and everything else, there are still men and women that are willing to go through. It's an arduous process for some people to go through the background check and the other things that it takes to be an officer. You've got to be dedicated to the profession, but you still find men and women that want to do the job.
Mike, this is an incredible career, and people that want to be able to live a life of service, come join us. This is a noble profession that few people have the opportunity to do and do some incredible work, impact community, impact public safety. That's something that should inspire a lot of people to come join us.
I've never asked you this. Maybe it's too personal of a question, but did you ever imagine that when you decided that you wanted to be in law enforcement, did you ever imagine that your career would put you in a position like you are now here in Phoenix or in other places in leadership?
Mike, no, absolutely not. Back in the day, I just wanted to be a detective, go out, chase bad guys, and put people in jail, and then make those connections in the community.
Well, I have to tell you, Chief, I appreciate your candor. I know it's not an easy position to be in a lot of times, especially when dealing with people in the media, but you've always been willing to sit down and talk to the audience. You've been pretty honest in your answer, very honest in your answers about things, even when they're difficult situations. And so I appreciate the trust, and I know my audience loves hearing from you. So happy Thanksgiving, and thank you so much for your transparency and walking through what's been a very rough couple of years.
Mike, thanks for letting us come on, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Let's make sure we have a safe and happy Thanksgiving and enjoy family and friends.
All right, that is Chief Michael Sullivan from the Phoenix Police Department.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.